Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and all you fairy tale beings. Welcome to Mwakenya by Wakenya, the platform where we sit down and share human interest stories, specifically matters affecting the youth, and trying to find solutions to them. The journey to recovery from any form of addiction is not easy. It requires a lot of commitment, sacrifice, and willpower. With me today is a gentleman who has been generous enough to share his story in the hope that it will benefit someone on the same life path. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us. I appreciate you taking time off your day to sit with us and just tell us or take us through your journey. Perhaps you can begin by introducing yourself.
Yes, I'm Crispus Kimaro. I'm a 41-year-old recovering alcoholic, 7 years sober.
Congratulations.
That is after a 17-year struggle with alcohol addiction and also sex addiction. And later, gambling addiction.
Oh, okay.
It's like I was born to get addiction,
Yeah.
but anyway, I'm over it now. So I'm an addiction counselor also. I went back to school after recovery. I am also a recovery campaigner. I do a lot of social media work, awareness.
Yeah.
I also manage a rehab
Oh, okay.
in Wangige. It's a Resolutions Recovery Center. And I'm a father of one boy, one handsome boy.
That's nice.
Yeah, he's my world.
That's really
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, that's me. Of course, there is so much about me.
Yeah.
But maybe we learn today.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to, I can already feel the ambience. It's going to be a roller coaster. So buckle in, guys. You are definitely set in for a treat. So as we begin, perhaps you can just give us a backstory of how you got into addiction.
Where do I start? I got into addiction by drinking.
By drinking.
End of story.
Okay, then perhaps
no.
to be specific, when did you realize that you had a problem, that this was addiction and I needed to work on it?
Okay, seriously, it started as fun. I was 17, I was 16, because I started in 1999 in Form 3. That's the first time I tried some alcohol. Then in 2000, I had the first serious drinking with some friends of mine. And I had the first, what we call a blackout, or what I used to think was a blackout, because I found myself I get crashed into a wedding, and I thought I had gone to heaven, because everyone was in white when I regained my consciousness, and so I thought these were angels, and there was this old man giving me some water, sugared water, and I thought this is milk and honey, like in the Bible.
Yes.
Only to realize that I had get crashed. That was a bridal party, the bride there screaming, and because I had maybe staggered and fallen down there, and it was shameful. But I didn't feel it first, because I was feeling that masculinity, kind of, that courage. And that started my journey now into 17-year struggle. Of course, I was drinking because I felt like it made me more of a man. Yeah. And I never knew the trauma and the torture and the pain and the shame that would come with maybe alcohol later. You see, at the beginning, it wasn't an addiction. It was fun.
It was fun.
And that happens for everyone. Whether you are smoking, whether you are taking mugoka or anything else. It starts as fun. You're just a young guy who wants to have fun. But you don't know that maybe you are predisposed to addiction for one reason or the other. So by the time I was done with my Form 4 exams, I was raring to go now to drink kabisa, because I didn't know I had underlying issues. I didn't know I had maybe emotional issues. I didn't know maybe that I was predisposed to addiction, alcohol addiction or any other form of addiction. And when I was waiting for my results, and even after my results, I would find it very easy to access alcohol. I was just, I come from Nyeri, Karatina, it's a rural area. So I would be working in the shamba and maybe Mzee would give me something small, some money. Then I would send for alcohol. The availability of alcohol at that time, the sachets, the 10 bob and 20 bob sachets, made it even worse because I would drink even while in the shower. And it got worse. By the time I was going to the university in 2002, I was a full-blown alcoholic. I was abusing alcohol badly. That I would even go in the village screaming and shouting. And that was a 20-year-old, 21-year-old.
Yeah.
And still, physically, I was still a small boy. And it got worse in campus. Of course, there was money, there was help money, the government loan, and it got worse. It even, I continued now I graduated now from the sachets into changa, what we used to call moody, and then into busa, or anything that I would access. Then keg came later before we were done with campus. And by God's grace, I was able to complete campus because I was taking a course that maybe I was interested in. I loved reading, so I would read a lot. And I was taking a B.Ed in English literature, so assessing or maybe analyzing the books, and it wasn't that hard, the novels. And it continued up to the fourth year. I graduated with my degree. I went somewhere in Kikuyu for a teaching job in a private school. The pay was poor, and any money I would get would, of course, go to alcohol. It was a cycle. I get money, I borrow money. It got to a point where I was selling stuff. And lucky enough, in 2008, I got a job at Safaricom. So as Jay-Z says, more money, more problems. Now I graduated maybe from the kegs and the others into maybe better in quotes, better brands. But it just got worse. And by that time, even in campus, I had tried maybe getting help in my own way by getting born again. I remember I got born again the first time while coming from a Changaden, while screaming in college. Now, it was it was crazy. I had some music somewhere, and I ended up going into that room, and it was a CU meeting, preparing for a Sunday service. They prayed for me. What I can remember, some people were praying for me and all that, and I think that I got born again, and actually lasted for 7 months as a born again Christian before I
That's
slept.
longer than most of us.
Yeah. It was because I really felt peaceful. It was peaceful. That period was peaceful. Now, even while working at Safaricom, I would feel like I had a problem. I was trying to date, but I had maybe crossed over to another addiction while in college, the sex addiction. You have heard me talk about it maybe. Because I was not able to maintain a relationship. That means when I discovered that it was possible for me to get sex from someone and pay for it, that was like magic to me. It was like, like a magic lamp. And it felt good. There were no commitments. What I didn't know was that now I was jumping from the pot into the fire. And I would even come from Eldoret all the way to Nairobi just to buy sex, and I now discovered all the brothels. So when drinking, I would always have to end up with sex if I had the money, with the prostitutes, or the sex workers as they are called. And so that is how maybe things started. And that's how I got to a point where now I lost my job at Safaricom. And that was after warnings, after being taken for counseling. And by that time, you had asked how I noticed that I had a problem. I would feel like I really wanted to stop. My relationship with my parents was broken. I was always asking for money, begging for money. And even when working with a big company, I would miss work, I would borrow loans, I would always misuse the money that I had. And I was always borrowing. And even health-wise, Many times I would not go to work because of the withdrawals. So it was bad. Those are some of the signs that showed me, or that told me I had a problem.
Yeah.
You know, when you are queuing at a brothel, you're with a woman you don't know. Here is another man with a woman, and you're queuing, waiting for the rooms to, for you to get space
Yeah.
to go and have sex with a stranger.
Yeah.
You start asking yourself, "Hi, is this what I wanted to be? An altar boy, former altar boy." Yeah. So, yeah, those are some of the signs that I maybe noticed early.
So I discovered you from TikTok. And the first video that I watched of yours was how you almost relapsed, especially on the sex addiction,
Yeah.
but now you came back. Perhaps you can just tell us what happened, because that was mind blowing for me.
I had made the same mistake many people do or make after maybe rehab. I didn't go to rehab for me. We'll talk about that. But I stopped and I was very committed. But you see, I still stayed in the same place. I was living, I was in Choka on Kangundo Road. I still retained the same friends.
Okay.
And I still was doing the same things. I was going to a cyber cafe to work from there. So the people, places, things, or what we call PPT, almost made me mess up.
Okay.
And this is something that we always remind those in recovery. So my friends told me, boss, you had stayed for a long time without sex when you are drinking the changazo. Why don't we go and we'll even buy for you? We'll, pay the prostitute for you. And of course, for me to get the courage, I had to maybe sip something. So I remember it was a KK, and I sipped, but deep down I was feeling, no, Chris, you vowed, you don't want to, you have an agreement with God. You don't want to go back where you are. And even when I went to the room with the woman, maybe lucky enough, I got an old woman, not a very small, nice girl. And maybe this even made me question myself.
Yeah.
She's old. And I came to know later that maybe her job was not even sex work. Her job was like a janitor, kind of.
Okay.
She used to clean the place. You see, now, for me, any woman would do.
Yeah.
And I think maybe before things happened, I think even the smell and everything kind of shook me back to reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris, you want to go back where you are, like a
After
few
the
months
struggle.
back. And I just told her it's okay. And I left the money.
She didn't take offense?
No, she just needs the money.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, there are even people who go to those brothels just to maybe look at the woman, a naked woman, and they would pay. And everyone would be like, you don't want, no. It's okay. You see, it's not a relationship.
Yeah, it's not a relationship.
It's a transaction.
Yeah.
So that's how I saved myself. And I had only taken a sip of the KK, of the drink, and I left it there, and I left the guys, and I told them, let me come. At that time, I had already bought a phone. I had, within a very short time, I already had a laptop, I had a phone, HTC, and I was feeling good. And as I was going home to Choka, I was asking myself, wow, that was close.
That was close.
I would have almost slipped back into the same crease. Because for me, there are many times I used to quit, even for months. And I would relapse because of the same mistake. The same guys, I want to go back to the same bar and drink with those guys. What would happen? Unarudi tu pale pale.
Yeah. So this brings us into your recovery journey.
Yeah.
When did you now begin this recovery journey and stuck to it up until where we're at?
I know it started in 2017. That's why I always say it's 7 years. I can say it's 7 years.
Yeah.
But I think it started way before. You see, all these small attempts, small steps that I had made, getting born again. By the way, Sylvia, I got born again so many times that I lost count. Because other than that one in campus, these others would just come. I would go drunk and find somebody, maybe a preacher.
Yeah.
Hey, sasa, mwenye anataka kuokoka sasa, aokoke. And I would be the first one. Always.
Yeah.
My hand was always up. even now when I go to church, an evangelical church, and maybe I'm dozing off, and maybe the pastor says, the altar call, now anyone who wants to get born again, sometimes I find myself almost standing.
Yeah.
Now you're born again, Chris. Remember? So all these small steps. In 2011, I took myself to a rehab.
So you took yourself to rehab?
Yes, I did. I didn't wake up and walk to a rehab. It's a situation that maybe took me there. I was drinking in Kariobangi. This is after getting some payment from Safaricom. Now after getting terminated, there was some payment, I think 60,000. So I was blowing it up. And you see, I was in Kariobangi, around Buruburu there, Kariobangi South, Buruburu, those were my drinking areas. How I ended up in Westlands, up to date, I don't know. And that's the next morning. So I woke up around Westlands. There was a roundabout at that time. And I was dirty. I didn't have a phone. I didn't have money. I didn't have an ID. But I was used to that by that time. So I even asked a watchman where I was initially, because I had not, I could not recollect. But then when he told me it's Westlands, now I started remembering, this is Westlands. Now, I had heard people say about Chiromolin. I had people in recovery always used to talk about Chiromolin. I think it was the only rehab in Nairobi by then. And from Westlands to Chiromolin, I knew it was a walking distance, or to Chiromo, because I didn't even know where it was. And so I started walking, saying, this is the time to recover now. I'm very sure they can't chase me from rehab. There's no way they are going to chase me from rehab. I'm going there. I'm going there. And so when I got to maybe around that Kempinski, where Kempinski is now, so I walked to the other side of the road because I knew Chiromo, I suspected Chiromo was there. But that was the mortuary. So I got to the gate and I said, I'm your client. Sasa kwa gate ya mortuary. And
Ulifika kwa gate ya mortuary and you told them you're a client.
Mimi ni client. Ananiuliza, ati client? Wewe uko na akili mzuri. Unajua huku ni wapi? I told them, si huku ni rehab. Kaniambia huku ni mortuary, lakini venye unakaa wewe utakuwa client wetu very soon. And I told them, where is the rehab? Kaniambia ni the other side of the road. So mimi nikavuka. But as I was crossing, I remember this because I felt like I had suicidal thoughts. Even when I had money. And I felt like, si nijimalize tu nigongwe na hizi gari. But I said, hapana tu, acha niende rehab. Sasa naenda rehab, it's like, I'm walking to a shop. I don't even know how they operate. And I went to the gate, I knocked, someone opened. Ulizo, ni nini? Nimekuja nataka usaidizi. Usaidizi? Hapa ni Chiromolin. Nataka usaidizi. Mimi nimeshindwa na pombe. And the Ochi akaniambia, no, you don't just come and walk in. There's a process. And nikamuuliza, what do I do? Hapana, wewe enda ukuje na familia. I told him, no, I have to come in. Call somebody from the office. Someone from the office came. And I begged them, acha tu niingie. Mniambie venye mtanisaidia. So when I walked in, nikajua mimi sitoki hapa mpaka niache pombe. I walked in, wakaniuliza, who are you? Nikamwambia Crispus Kemaro, nini. So what do you want? I need help. I have read a lot about you and that you help people to stop alcohol. So, but there are payments and all that. Mimi nisaidieni tu. So I stayed there nikasema stoki, and they called my sister, Catherine, and I think she was at work. I have I had phone numbers for everyone. And I think when she had it's an emergency, she rushed. Akakuja akapata nimelala hapo kwa lawn. Mimi nasema siendi mahali, siendi hata munivurute siendi. And she said it's okay. They could admit me, and they did. And I felt good. somebody was treating me. I thought, the detox. I thought that would now stop all these problems with my alcohol, the suicidal ideations, and I felt so good. The counseling therapy sessions, it was good. You see, what I'm saying is, these all these attempts, even now at the rehab, because I stayed there for almost a month, 3 weeks or almost a month, before they told us now to go to the main rehab. And by that time, I felt I was okay. All these steps were working towards my recovery. You see, the getting born again, the rehabs, kuombewa, being prayed for by the parents, the interventions, all of them were working towards my recovery. So I don't feel like my recovery was just a one-off thing. So in 2017, that's when, after so much pain, after all these, suicidal ideations, even an attempted suicide in 2014. That's also one of the most painful things that I went through. All these were kind of preparing me for that decision, that day that I'll say, you know what, I'm done. I'm done. So 2017, I walked into a church. I talked to someone in church, and they listened to me, and they told me it's doable. And I just felt like, you know what, this guy is assuring me, and I don't even know him. And that's how I started going to Alcoholic Anonymous, and I never looked back, other than that time that I almost had sex with an old woman at the brothel. So that was my turnaround.
So bringing it back to the brothel and the alcohol addiction and everything, how would you describe the brothel to be? Like, how are they, the setup and everything? Like, how does it look like when you're there?
Oh God, the feeling is there's some excitement that you get. The moment you are walking into Sabina Joy or into Soma or any other brothel, you're feeling like, this is, especially now if you're in addiction, it's the same feeling you have when walking into a bar when you're in addiction. You feel like there's something being lifted. It's like, wow, this is, I'm going to get something good. And the moment you're there and you maybe have sex, then the guilt hits you. The moment you are in the bar and then you take the first drink, the second drink, that's when now you start remembering, I should have bought maybe my son something. I should have paid rent. So because of the shame and the guilt that you're already making a wrong decision, you even take more. Because remember, you are not in control, because we always say addiction is a chronic relapsing disease. You keep doing the same thing over and over again, irrespective of the consequences. There's a lot of pain, but you still keep doing it again and again.
So you keep finding yourself.
So when you're in that situation, when you're in the brothel, initially you don't even feel any guilt. In the bar, you don't feel any guilt. But later, that's when you even start thinking of suicide. That's when you start thinking of maybe going very far away to a place that you'll never come back to. And that's why even most suicides happen when someone is high. That's why people go back to the bar the next day, because of the shame and the guilt.
So 7 years down the line, how would you say your life has changed since your recovery journey started up until to where you are?
The most significant thing for me is that I sleep on a bed, and I know where I'm sleeping, and I know who I'm sleeping with. Because for most of those 17 years, I didn't know exactly who was next to me in bed. I didn't know how I ended up in that bed, because most of the times I was high. And I didn't exactly tell which house I was in, because sometimes, especially when I lost my job at Safaricom and then at TSC, I would find myself sleeping anywhere, even outside. And sometimes I would even find myself begging some of my friends in Karatina and Arumoro for somewhere to sleep. And it was a miserable life. So when today I wake up and I find myself, this is my bed, the first thing I do is tell God, thank you for the gift of life, the gift of sobriety, for my son, for my, the mother of my son, and maybe my partner and all that. That sobriety, people don't seem to appreciate. For somebody who has come from addiction, I'm telling you, it's like, I don't know, it's like being saved. You're in a plane and it's hurtling down. The engines have maybe failed, and then maybe something happens. You know you are going to die. Then something happens, and then all of a sudden the pilot says, the engines are back.
Yeah.
Thank God.
The relief.
How would you feel?
The relief.
The relief is just amazing.
Yeah.
So when sometimes I'm on TikTok, I'm on social media saying the same, I'm here talking about the same thing over and over again. People wonder, kwani hauna story ingine? Imagine I don't have another story. I don't know politics, I don't know the Bible. I know the Bible. But this is my gospel.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why God saved me.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm amazed that I'm self-aware. I'm in control of my life. I know about my finances. I know where my money is. I know about my family.
Yeah.
I know about what I'm doing. Because when you're in addiction, you don't even know. Nothing matters.
Yeah.
When kuishi tu, ukufe leo, usikufe, as long as there's drinking money, kuna pesa mtu anaweza kunywa, it's fine. Yeah.
So I'm assuming for the relapses to come, there must have been triggers.
Yeah.
Now that you have been 7 years in recovery, I'm sure these triggers still come your way.
They still come.
How do you manage to maneuver and just stick to the plan?
First of all, when I started going to AA, Alcoholic Anonymous, I was able to listen to people who have been maybe longer in recovery, and they would speak about maybe their triggers. And I started identifying my triggers. This is something that can make me drink, relationships, maybe going back to the bars, maybe the prostitutes, maybe my confrontations with my father, my mother, maybe resentments, because I had a lot of resentments towards everyone, including the mother of my child, who is my ex-wife. I always had issues, anger, emotional issues, mood swings, all those I know. Anxiety, a lot of anxiety, whether I have money, whether I don't have money, whether there's money coming, a lot of anxiety. All those are things that I now know. And when I even get into confrontations with people, I know it might not trigger me back into drinking immediately, but if I let it, that I'm fighting with everyone, it will drain me. And I'll eventually get what? I'll eventually maybe relapse. Yeah. So number one, I know my triggers. I know them very well. I know when they are coming up. I know when I'm in the wrong place. So much aware that I just walk out.
Oh, okay. So you mentioned that you had a gambling addiction as well.
Yes.
Perhaps you can tell us a bit about how you got into gambling.
Yeah, just like everyone else, it started as fun. That is after. Just before I stopped drinking, you know, I was working in a cyber, so I would see guys come and they would say how they are winning money. And I didn't have that money to gamble, even 20 shillings. So I would just listen to them, maybe read about maybe those gambling companies, maybe try to understand. But I didn't have even a 10 bob to bet. Yeah. But after stopping drinking, now I started, saving. I had money. I had 100 bob. I had some M-Pesa. I had even a phone. And now I got more interested in this. What was this about? What is this that they were doing? I even researched, and I became a very good researcher. So I started with 10 bob, 20 bob, the stake. And it went to 50 bob. I was winning, losing, making mistakes. Then I started investing in quotes, even more money. 500, 1,000. I went to 5,000. 10,000. Sometimes I would even place a bet of 25,000 and even lose it.
What?
Yeah, there's a night I lost 52,000. People lose even more, and because now gambling is so addictive, you very quickly sink into addiction, and you don't even know, because there's a lot of anxiety. And unlike alcohol, which you are drinking to maybe suppress your pain, for gambling, you are doing it with an expectation that there is money coming. And there's never any money coming. That excitement. Sometimes you even have your wife there or your partner, and you can't do anything. you're just thinking of where can I get 10 bob just to place a bet. And just like drinking or any other substance, the moment you place a bet, even of 5 shillings, and you know you're even going to lose, you feel now, and then now you start the wait. You have bet, you've placed a bet of 5 shillings or 10 shillings, and you expect to win 10 million. Yeah, it's going to come through. Yeah. So your wife is telling you about maybe an investment, and you're like, wewe, ngojea milioni inakuja. Lakini usema na huko, and you hide it because you're so guilty, you're so ashamed of the money you have lost. Ulipewa pesa ya kanisa on Friday 10,000. By Saturday evening you have nothing, and tomorrow is Sunday. So you're like, oh God, let me win just this one. I will never bet again. God, yote inakunywa maji. Yeah. I even at one point kind of chased my fiancée away, so that at that point I didn't know what I wanted to do or why I was chasing her, but I wanted to sell the household items, and I sold them. I started with the fridge, then the woofer, then the table, then the seats, then the wall unit, and then the cooker, then the mtungi, gas. And there was always an excuse. Now I'm alone. I don't need this fridge. Hata sipikangi. I don't need this cooker. Hata viti ni ya nini na nakaa peke yangu. I don't have visitors. Shylock. By the time I was almost done, I was sleeping on the floor. The only thing I had was a laptop, my phone. So nikahama hiyo 1 bedroom. So I went somewhere in Githunguri in a single room. Pale sasa nalala chini. And sasa naweza bet nikisema, I was still doing online writing. So sometimes ilikuwa inanipea pesa. Nasema sasa leo hii 1,000 I'm going to bet so carefully. By jioni it will be 10,000. Then I'll clear some loans. Maybe I even win maybe 300, so I have 1,300. Unasema, so hii 1,300 nitabet tena ikue maybe 3K. But instead of maybe the 300 I have won to maybe repaying the debt, bado nawekelea yote. So eventually after 2 hours hata ila 1,000 sina. And now I would bet on anything from football. You know, most people start with football, then you go to tennis, basketball. You don't even know how to play basketball. Then you even start dogs, betting on dogs. Mpaka unaamka usiku betting on some horses, and you don't even know how horses run, whether they run walking behind or walking in front. Hata kama kungekuwa na kuku zina bet, hata ningekuwa tu hata mbuzi ningetafuta tu. You know, because I come from the village, at least I know how mbuzi na kuku zina run. But by the time I got out of the betting, it was a bad situation. I had borrowed money from my mother, my father, my girlfriend, until I owned up to someone, and I started talking about it even to my family members. And I know there are so many people who suffer from it, but they don't. When I owned up and I got an accountability partner, things became easier. Now, then I blocked that old number. And hata ikapatianwa na Safaricom. I never used it. So wale Malone, Sharks, Nini, Shylocks, not it. And I had debt from everywhere, with everyone.
So you've mentioned that you borrowed money from family, friends, and all that.
Yes.
How would you say your addiction affected them?
Oh God, it's a family disease. Addiction is a family disease. I'm telling you. In 2012, when I was taken from Korogosho, from Kariobangi South to Shags, my mother sent for me. She looked at me and cried when I was taken to Karatina, because I looked scrawny and broken. And my father didn't even speak because of the pain. It had gotten to a point where even my brothers and sisters, they would not even pick my call. If they picked, they knew the next question was, nisaidie na 200 na 30, to 30. Mpaka I realized you used to call me Kanyari, Pastor Kanyari, because I was asking for 230. It affected so many people. My first wife,
But I'm guessing by now you've made amends, or it takes a lot. There's a lot of work to be done still.
Yeah. It takes a lot. I hurt that woman.
I'm sure she holds nothing against you with
We talked.
everything, all things considered.
We talked and we co-parent so well.
Oh, that's nice.
We co-parent so well. And I really did her wrong. And I even told her if I were married to myself, I would have walked out like she did. It was just terrible. The things I did to her, just terrible. And I will never be able to repay, even financially. I can't. But I hope I'm a good father, and maybe that counts.
Yeah,
Also a
that
good
counts
friend.
for something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, now, this is you,
Yeah.
7 years later.
Yes.
Looking like you don't even age. You don't look 41, by the way. Let me just put that out there.
Yeah,
You do not look 41.
41 next
bit.
week. Next week, but one.
Ooh, happy birthday. Happy
you.
birthday. So, how would you say mentors, rehab, or support system, or rather, how would you say the support system that you got benefited you?
It did a lot. You see, when I stopped drinking in 2017, after a few weeks, I called my sister, Angela, tumefuatana, and I told her I'm not drinking. And she told me, I still pray for you. Then she told me things will be well.
Yeah.
I later called my mom, and I get emotional when I talk about this.
I'm sorry. Take your time.
I called my mom, and I told her I'm not drinking. I've not been drinking for a month, and this time it's serious. And she said the same thing. She told me,
take your time. Take your time.
she told me she will continue praying for me. I remember she even said they had novena prayers, rosaries, with, I think, with my two sisters for us, because we were four guys in addiction, 3 guys in addiction at that time, brothers. And later I called my elder sister, Kate, and I thought she'd be mad at me having hurt her so much, and like I had messed her up a lot. But she surprised me. She invited me for an event at her place in Hawaii, and that kind of saved my life.
Yeah.
Her inviting me to that place where the entire family was. I remember I bought a shirt, a t-shirt, I bought a trouser. And for the first time I was able to be in an event where I wasn't messing up, where I wasn't removing my clothes or messing up, and it felt good.
That must have felt really good.
Yeah. Then later, my family, I rented my own place. I didn't have a desk for my laptop. I didn't even have a laptop immediately. So I went and I talked to my brother. I told him I was like 2 months sober, and
it's okay. Take your time.
I requested for some money to buy a laptop and buy a table, an office desk. And he told me to come after 3 days. After 3 days, he gave me money, and he just trusted me.
Yeah.
And wow, it felt so good. Those guys saved my life. They saved my life. They might not know it, but that trust.
It meant something.
Yeah, it meant everything. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's completely fine. It's
Yeah,
a beautiful story you have. It's quite
so
emotional.
they saved my life, and yeah, here I am.
Here you are.
Yeah,
And you've
'cause,
done so well for yourself.
I'm still trying.
You've done so well for
I'm
yourself.
still trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how would you prioritize self care and mental health on a daily basis? What are some of the things you do for yourself and for your mental health?
Quite a deep one, eh? Mhm. I start my day with meditation. Today I remember very well. I meditate because it helps me get into sync with myself.
Okay.
Like I need to know the thoughts that are in my mind. I need to know whatever is maybe disturbing me. So I meditate in the morning for like 20-30 minutes. And then I also exercise. Sometimes I go for jogs. Sometimes I exercise in the house. There was a time I used to do gym. Yeah, those are the main ones. Those are the main self-care
Yeah.
techniques that I have. And I think they have helped me. They help me to keep uh, maybe to stay sober because I don't have a lot of things. I don't any energy that maybe I have, any excess energy that I have when I jog, when I exercise, I'm able to use it.
Yeah.
And then the dopamine that is released in the brain when you do specific activities. I used to get that from the alcohol and the sex, but now when I exercise, it's expended.
Yeah. So there's someone who's watching this right now,
Okay.
and they feel that your story has touched them. They feel like they're in the same position you were so many years back. They don't know where to start. They don't know who to reach out to for help, but they know deep down that they need help. Perhaps you can give a piece of advice or a word of advice or encouragement to this person, and let them know how they can find you as well, if at all they would like to seek help from you directly.
Okay, the first thing I want to remind them, or anyone there, including families of those that are in addiction, that there is hope.
There's hope.
Yes, Chris got out of there. So many people have gotten out of the same situation. There is hope. But they can only be hope. You can only get out of it if, number one, you own up.
Yes.
I'm in a hole, and when you're in a hole, you stop digging.
Yeah.
If I have, you have noticed, you've been drinking for 10 years, 5 years, 16 years, it has messed you up, you've lost your job, you have lost your family, you have lost money, you've started sleeping on the streets, it's time to own up. Your family will not come save you. God will not save you when you still insist, I don't have a problem. I know how to drink. I can. It's my money. And yet deep down, you know you are hurting and you have been hurting. You can only get help, or you can only help yourself if you own up.
Yeah.
Okay. Number three, something else that's very important. If you want to start the recovery journey, you have owned up, then talk to someone. Talk to a professional. Talk to someone who is neutral, maybe not your family member. We always say a problem shared is a problem maybe half solved.
Yeah.
When you speak out, you kind of even get encouraged. When you talk to the right person, you get encouraged that this is doable, I can do this. When you talk to someone like Chris, I will not judge you, but you might talk to your brother or your sister who will judge you and tell you, hizi ni vile vitu tu unasemanga, stories za jaba, ati unataka kwenda rehab nini.
Yeah.
But if you talk to someone maybe who has been there, talk to a professional like a counselor, counseling psychologist, addiction counselor, all these, even a psychiatrist, they will help you, they will guide you in the right direction.
Yeah.
Then even after that, it's good for you to start identifying, working with maybe a counselor to identify the underlying issues. What is it that makes you drink and not stop, while maybe your age mates are drinking and having fun and stopping and maybe even quitting, maybe even staying for 2 months without drinking. But for you, the moment you start drinking, it will be up to the moment maybe there is no money, you have sold everything. There could be underlying issues that are predisposing you to addiction, whether it's pombe, whether it's alcohol, whether it's mugoka, whether it's any other substance. When you identify those underlying issues, then it gets possible for you to get out of it. Then honesty. Kuna ile honesty na wewe mwenyewe pia. I'm in a bad situation. I have to stop lying. Normally I would buy a coat like this, but I can't now. I'm even borrowing clothes. You have to become so honest with yourself and say, I'm in a bad situation. And even when you start the recovery journey, you have to be honest. If you relapse or lapse, then you're able to go and get help because you're honest. Hakuna kuficha. There's a phrase we use in Alcoholic Anonymous where we say, you admit to that you're powerless against this substance. When you admit that you kind of lifting, unasema, hii imeniweza, it has made my life unmanageable, and that means I need help now. If you don't get to that point, you'll never get out of addiction, because you'll always be blaming others. Ni madhe, ni mzai, ni wife alitoka, ni huyo boss, ni hiyo. You always have excuses. But the moment you say, you know what, nimeitikia, hii sigara imeniweza, hii pombe imeniweza. When I got to that point in 2017, nikaitikia, you know what, hata sitaki kufa tena. Nimeitikia tu niko na shida. Sitaki kujiua tena. Sitawahi fikiria hivyo. Yeah, that's where I now started my journey. And then you have to realize that it's not a walk in the park. You have learned this behavior. You have been in addiction for 10 years, 5 years, so many years. So don't expect results in a night or in 2 weeks. Even for the families, don't push these guys too much. Mpaka mnawapatia stress karibu warudi tu pale. Yeah. And like I always say, it's a family disease. Everyone around you should also start healing. Maybe talking to a family therapist or going for family therapy so that it can be holistic. Yeah. And also, when you work on your emotions, you become fully sober. Don't just be sober because you're not drinking, but they are maybe emotionally you're not okay.
Yeah. So perhaps you can just speak on Resolution Recovery Center.
Okay.
Tell us what you are about, what you help in, and how they can find you.
Okay, Resolutions Recovery Center is a rehabilitation center in Wangige, Karura, Kanyogo, near Wangige, near Kikuyu, on the western bypass, yes. the one that connects to Nakuru Nairobi Highway, or connects to the northern bypass to Ruaka. Yeah, we are around there, just near the road, 200 meters from the road. We use a biopsychosocial spiritual approach where if somebody is in addiction, we bring in different multi-sectoral team to the recovery or to the treatment plan. Tunataka a mental assessment to be done so that we can see whether there is an underlying mental health issue. Tunataka detox ifanywe. Tunataka kufanya liver function test and kidney function test, all of them, so that tuone, we are very thorough. And then pia after that we start the psychotherapy. So that this person in addiction can start now opening up, so that kama akona anger, resentment, all those issues azitoe. Yes. Then we bring in the family, the social part. We bring in the family ili wata wao waanze kuheal together with their loved one. Okay. Then there's a spiritual aspect to it. We not only have services, but the program that we use here is the 12-step program, which is a spiritual based program. Yes. From step 1, hiyo nimesema ya powerlessness, to step 12, where you go and give service. We want you to seek help from, or we are advising that you seek help from a higher power, because you admit you are powerless. When you get help from, or accept help from a higher power, it becomes easier for you to maybe stay stable in recovery. Yes. So, and after that, we have, before you leave, we make an exit plan together with you and your family. Then after that, we have aftercare. This is, I follow up even personally as a team here, and even personally, I make sure ulienda wapi, unafanya nini, what are you doing? Yeah. We call you back here, unakuja, pengine unatuongelesha, unatuambia msoba, ama nimelapse, ama relapse, hivyo, hizo vitu zote. Thank you.
Now, I want us to jump into a bit of a comic relief. I came up with, okay, I didn't come up with it. It's something that's been in existence, but it's quick fire questions just to get to know you
I
on a
knew
deeper
that.
aspect.
I knew
I
that.
hope you're ready. It's nothing too complicated. These are things you already know.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's just get into it real quick. So, are you ready?
Yes.
What is the capital of France?
Paris.
Are you a dog or a cat person?
Dog.
Coffee, tea?
Coffee.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, coffee.
Would you rather go back in time or travel to the future?
Travel to the future.
Why, if you don't mind me asking?
There's a lot of pain in the past.
Ah, okay, yeah. Would you not want to go back in the past to make things better now that with everything you know?
You didn't give me that option, that, that I would make things better.
What is the tallest mountain in the world?
Everest.
Great. That was it, everyone. Thank you so
Okay.
much if you've been watching this video. We are going to let Chris share his social platforms so that you can find him on social media. You can also, he can also give you the details on how you can find Resolutions Recovery Center in case you need to sort help from them. I'd like Chris to share his social media platforms for all of you who would like to reach out to him directly.
Okay. On social media, that is Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, I go by Chris Kim Recovery. Chris Kim Recovery.
Yeah.
Ukisearch tu hiyo utanipata Chris Kim Recovery on all the platforms.
Yeah.
Then my number?
Yes, your phone number?
My phone number is 0726 619 079. That is 0726 619 076. And there's hope. Remember that.
There's hope.
Yeah.
There sure is hope.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to share your story, if you're feeling like there's something you'd like people to learn off of you based off of your experience, you can reach us on Wakenya by Wakenya. That's on all our social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can also reach us on our phone number. I'll have it linked down below. So if you feel like you have something you'd like to share, you'd like the world to know about or learn about, be sure to reach us on our social media platforms. We are welcome to any and everyone. Do not be shy. And as Chris has said, there is hope. That was it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Also turn on the notification bell so that anytime we post up a new video, you'll be amongst the first to get notified.